Happy New Year's Eve! And what does a new year mean? It means that there's a lot of greatness to come. Only dubs, no L's in the Lost Ark community, right? That's fucking not true. Oh, there's bound to be somebody fucking up something at Smilegate, making us annoyed or something. But we're not talking about the future here today, because we are here to actually look at the past. We are here to take a look at a couple of tier lists. Now, we have 2 tier lists on the screen, well 3 actually, 2 completed tier lists and 1 that is not complete, because we are here to take a look at the biggest winners and the biggest losers of 2023. We're here to take a look at a tier list from the way back beginning of 2023, and a tier list that we made actually very recently here in 2023. And I want to compare them to see who got buffed the most, and who got nerfed the most, and who lost the most over the years. Now, we are looking at 2 tier lists, which are both ATK's tier lists. And the reason why we're only looking at ATK is because, from what I could tell, for the Western audience, he was the only one for the Western audience that made a tier list at the beginning of the year before the March balance patch, which changed a lot of things. In the March balance patch, a lot of people made more tier lists, but ATK was the only one who made a pre-balance patch tier list, which is what we're going to go off of for the beginning of 2023. And it makes sense that if we're going to compare his tier list, we're going to do it for the later tier list, the end of 2023 tier list, just to have apples to apples, right? And then we're going to be filling everything out on this middle tier list as well. I'm pointing in a direction, but I don't even know which way it is. Boo! Sorry to jump scare you guys there, but I just wanted to do a quick message and let you guys know that I've been really thankful for everybody who's followed and continued to watch the videos, day by day these past month. And to celebrate, I also wanted to bring in the new year with some good by giving away some $100 gift cards for Steam, so you can use on Lost Ark or anything else. So this upcoming Friday, January 5th, I wanted to, on my stream, do 2 $100 gift card giveaways during that time. So please come to twitch.tv/misoxjiru anytime after 10 p.m. PST. I usually stream between 10 p.m. PST to about 2 a.m. PST. Come anytime between then, and we'll be doing 2 $100 Steam gift card giveaways for lucky followers. So be sure to come, pop in, give me a follow, and stay for a little bit and have fun. And we'll be doing some giveaways. All right, see you guys there, and I'll give you guys back to the video. We're going to take a look at the people who got buffed the most and the people who lost the most on this list. And we're going to start by taking a look at the beginning of the old tier list to compare to the new tier list. So let's get started. First, we have Barrage Artillerist. Triple, quadruple, quintuple S. A bajillion S's, because ATK said that these classes are basically completely busted and there's nobody that can compare to them. And nobody else in the game can do as much damage as these classes. So by that, I would say that Barrage Artillerist being ridiculously busted over to A, which is not even in, I mean, strong. Don't get me wrong, it's really strong, but it's not in busted tier. I would say that it's kind of like a meh. It didn't really lose a ton, but it definitely isn't as busted as it used to be. So let's put it in a meh category. Next, we have Empress Arcana. Now, Empress, it looks like, really got a big fat L here. As you can see, Empress Arcana is in triple S, or whatever this S tier is, quadruple, quintuple S, into the lowly B tier. So, Empress Arcana really just fell from grace real hard. I'm going to say that's a loser. That's not a big loser, because B tier honestly isn't terrible, but it's pretty bad to go from one of the strongest classes in the game to what they consider now a fairly weak, average class. Oh boy, Master Summoner. Master Summoner. Now, ATK actually, they put it in the A tier, but if I remember correctly from our other tier lists, Master Summoner kind of, and also the general sentiment about this class is that it is not doing well. So I think we're actually going to override this. Yes, if we were just going off of the A tier, the tier lists here, we'd probably put them in the meh category. It didn't, it lost quite a bit, but isn't terrible. But from what I can tell in the general sentiment, I think I would get a lot of hate if I didn't put Master Summoner in one of the loser categories here. So Master Summoner, unfortunately, caught a big fat L here on this one. Now, next, Emperor Arcana. Emperor Arcana went from a big fat wall. So what ATK described a big fat wall was basically it is the class that basically is right in between ridiculously broken and very, very strong. And any class here in the triple S category in the old tier list couldn't beat these three classes at the top. But there's a chance that the Emperor Arcana can beat those classes at the top, right? So this one went from the big fat wall to actually 8, which isn't that bad. So I would say that just by being in a situation where they didn't lose a ton would make them a pretty big dub. So we're gonna, well, not a big dub, but it's a W. They won. They didn't lose a ton. They just kind of stayed where they were at, basically. So that's a win in my book. Next, oh boy, another one that bites the dust. Igniter Sork. Now, Igniter Sork, I feel like the general sentiment in the game is that they are definitely not quite that strong. And to be honest, I would agree that they're kind of in a rough spot other than in the con. And you can see that reflected here. They are in D tier. They went from, as you can see here, OP benchmark, right? So they are still an OP class at the beginning of the year. And now they are in the dumps. They are a big loser. We have our first big loser of the day, guys. Big loser, Igniter Sorceress. All right, next up. Funny enough, we see another Summoner here. Summoner was very strong at the beginning of the year. And they were, Master Summoner, of course, being one of the strongest classes in the game. And CO Summoner was one of the strongest classes in the game, but not quite as OP as what, people say Master Summoner was. So they went from OP class to the bottom of B tier. Ooh, man. They're definitely a loser on this one as well. I mean, I'd say for both the Summoners, you can argue that they're both big losers, but we'll be friendly to them. We're going to put them here in the losers category. And then, oh man, also the Aeromancers, both Wind Fury and Drizzle, went from triple S all the way down to C tier. Oh no. Our little Ayayas, unfortunately, are both losers as well. Now, Searchblade, this one, as you can see, we have our first S tier class from the new tier list. So it went from OP to ridiculously OP, the #1 class on this list. So I would say they are winners. Would I call them big winners? Probably not, because they were actually pretty dang strong back then, and they're just like ridiculously strong now, right? So they're winners, but I wouldn't say that they're big winners. We're going to leave that category to the biggest winners, and I'm sure you guys already know who is going to be going into that list. So Surgeblade, big is going to be a winner. Next one, Shock Scrapper. OP, but kind of like, they're an A tier in the new tier list, so that's still strong, but not like, I'd say like this, the bottom of A tier, I wouldn't really necessarily describe as OP, but they kind of stayed around the same, if not, got a little bit better throughout the year, right? I think that we can all say that with the recent balance patch, the big balance patch at least, Shock Scrapper definitely did get a buff. So I'd say they kind of stayed the same, if not got a little bit better. So I will put them in kind of the mech category because they pretty much stayed the same. And I think that is the case for Taijutsu Scrapper as well. Looks like they were pretty strong back then, but, and are now strong as well. I'd say you can argue that Taijutsu Scrapper might even be a bigger winner than Shock Scrapper. So maybe what we'll do is we'll take Shock Scrapper, put it over here. We'll put Taijutsu Scrapper up here as a winner, and then Shock Scrapper just kind of meh, because Taijutsu Scrapper did definitely get a little bit more love than the Shock Scrapper. Now, Death Blow Striker. It looks like this class And as my main, right, I can definitely say that it has definitely dropped in the year. It was one of the strongest classes at the beginning of the year, still considered the strongest class, and now considered a pretty average class. B tier is like, you know, it's strong, but not like ridiculously strong, right? It's about an average class. As a result, from going one of the strongest classes to a very kind of an average class, I'd say Deathblow Striker kind of got an L, even though they did get buffed recently, right? They did get buffed recently. From what I hear, they're strong, but not ridiculously strong. So we're going to put them in the losers category, unfortunately. They really went from, like, at one point, one of the strongest classes in the game, and just gradually started going down. So we'll put them in one of the losers. Actually, you know what? Let's put them in the meh. We'll put them in the meh. I'll be fair. They didn't lose. They're kind of the same places where they were at the beginning of the year. At the beginning of the year, they were kind of already starting to drop anyway, so I'll move them to the meh. All right, next on the list, we have Robust Soul Fist. Still one of the strongest classes in the game, right? Triple S here as an OP class. In the middle of A, which is pretty strong, pretty OP. We're gonna put them as a meh as well, because they didn't really move that much, right? But they definitely didn't get weaker, in my opinion. So let's put them in the meh. They just kind of stayed the same. They stayed where they were. They didn't move much. EO Soul Fist, I'd say in terms of this specific tier list, right? Just comparing the two, it looks like they're a winner. They went from, you know, strong to the strongest tier. Sounds like they went up a tier, right? They went up in tier, and because of that, I'd put them a winner. Not a big winner, but I'd say they're a winner. Rage Hammer Destroyer. Ooh. In this tier list, they're B, the new tier list, and in the old tier list, they were triple S. They were considered an OP class. Again, anything above this Gunslinger was an OP class. So with Destroyer, unfortunately, with Rage Hammer, they got the big fat L. They went from one of the strongest classes after their rework to just a, you know, average class. Not great anymore. And next up is Enhanced Weapon Deadeye. It looks like they were considered a pretty dang strong class at the beginning of last year. And they didn't even get their rework yet, which is kind of crazy. They got their rework around the middle of the year. So at the beginning of the year, they were actually considered a very strong class. And now, if we look at our new tier list, again, they got the same Destroyer treatment. They kind of, you know, just fell off a little bit. They're not quite OP. They're strong. Don't get me wrong. They're definitely one of the stronger classes in the game. But not quite OP. I think what holds them back probably is still their playstyle. Having to be really close to the back, and that's just a little bit tough. So they go into the losers tier list. The losers tier. Now, next up, we have the OP Benchmark Officer. This has always been the case for the longest time. Gunslinger, Peacemaker Gunslinger, was not quite OP, but they were a very, very strong class for the longest time. But now, as we can see in this new tier list, they're down to a C. So I would say that they're actually probably a big loser this year. They went from pretty much OP territory to, ooh, these classes need help territory. I'm sorry, Gunslingers. I'm very sorry, Peacemaker Gunslingers. All right, now we have the classes that were considered decent, but not great. I'd say like anything below this OP benchmark on ATK's tier list, these classes were kind of struggling, in my opinion. Looking at these classes right here, right, we can see TTH, we can see SO, War Dancer, we can see Lunar Reaper, we can see Hunger Reaper, Control Glaver, Pinnacle Glaver. Like, these classes were all just like average, if not just a little bit lacking. So starting down here, I'd say that these classes are actually part of the very weak tier, probably comparable to, like, you know, the bottom of B tier for us, and lower. So if they went anywhere above like the bottom of B tier, I'd say they got a pretty big win. And if they stayed the same, yeah, we're gonna put it in the Mets here. And if they dropped, oof, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Let's hope that doesn't happen. So, first off, Time to Hunt Gunslinger. Looks like they kind of stayed in the same place, bottom of B tier. So, nothing really happened to them. They just kind of like, they got by. Didn't get nerfed, didn't get buffed. So, we'll put them in the mid tier. SO War Dancer. I'm actually very surprised to see SO War Dancer here. Because if I remember correctly, 4-spender SO War Dancer was ridiculously strong. But maybe I'm mistaken, and that came a little bit later. Or maybe that meta was discovered later, right? But they went from this meh tier all the way up to near the top of A tier. So I would say SO War Dancer is a winner. Lunar, Hunger, the 2 Reapers. Now, you know what I'm going to say about Lunar or Hunger Reaper. That is a big W right there. Went from not great to one of the strongest, actually, if not the, well, one of the strongest classes in the game. So, big W over to the Lunar Reaper, or the Hunger Reaper. Now, Lunar Reaper, where is this on our new tier list? I think it was, if I remember correctly, it was somewhere, oh, it's in B tier. That really, oh, man. Surprisingly, not much happened to the Lunar Reaper. I thought I got a pretty big buff, and I think generally people thought I got a pretty big buff, but according to this tier list, it kind of stayed the same. It was like decently okay, but wasn't like anything remarkable, and I think it kind of stayed there too. So we'll put them in the meh category. Next up, we have Control Glavier. Went from, again, not great to not great. Well, another addition to the meh category. Control Glavier. Pinnacle Glavier, though. Ooh, that class got quite a bit of juice. It went from this meh category up to pretty much, well, at some point, it was actually at the S tier, in my opinion. But now, ATK says that it's an A tier, the top of A tier, which I agree. It's a very, very strong class, and definitely got a W on this one. Is it a big W, though? That's hard to say. I would say that overall, it's still a big W, because they are, on top of being able to do a ton of damage, they also got, a change to their utility, which is very, very strong in every raid situation. You want them in every raid situation. And, overall, huge damage buff, right? I used to play Glavier, and I still play Glavier. I used to play a lot more back then, but I still play the class, and I would say that it is way, way, way stronger than its previous archetype. So I would put it in a big W. Next is RE. And RE is interesting because I remember when the first PTR came out during the last balance patch, everybody was like, RE to the moon! RE is crazy! It's the most OP class! But as we can see here, it's still kind of at the bottom of A tier now. So I'd say that they're a winner because they went from like garbage tier to like good. So, but not quite the same as Surge Blade. So RE, winner, but not a big winner, unfortunately. Next up, we have SO Striker. And I would say that SO Striker overall is a big win. Because again, they are now in this kind of, at the beginning of the year, they were in a kind of a garbage place, garbage tier. But they are now next to Deathblow, which was not the case at the beginning of last year. So, SO Striker definitely got a win. And then here, oh boy, Gravity Training. Yeah, I think Gravity Training, unfortunately, actually is a loser. I think they were in a better place last year, and especially now with the most recent buff that, we don't have even on this tier list, or not the buffs, the nerfs to the class, I think they're actually a loser. And I'd argue they're, you know what, I'm even going to go as far as putting them as a big loser, because they did not deserve that nerf. There was no reason to give them that nerf in the game. They were already not great, and they're just going to make them worse. Come on, Smilegate. Get your shit together. Next up, we have Reflux Sork. Now, Reflux Sork went from not great to even worse. So, we're going to put him in a big loser as well. How do you take a class that's not good and make it worse? I don't get it, Smilegate. Why are you doing this? And then we're gonna say Firepower next. Firepower was also a weak class in the old version in last year, and still is a weak class. Would I say it's as weak, a huge loser? Not really, because look, it's, C tier, and I'd say this kind of general area is also C tier, right, for ATK's old tier list. So they didn't really get touched. They didn't get a win or a lose. Just meh. Now we have BT Zerker. BT Zerker. It's interesting because I remember when ATK was talking about this tier list, Judao actually put the damage of BT Zerker up top at A, but they were just kind of really slow, so they put them back down to C. Because of that, I would say that we're gonna probably override this, and instead of saying that it was kind of meh, I'd say it got a W, because I think that they did get some overall good changes at the during the year, and they became a lot stronger and a lot more viable. So W in my book. Loyal Companion and Death Strike Sharpshooter. Definitely both big wins, especially Death Strike. Now, Death Strike isn't in the OP tier, right? But it went from literally the bottom of this tier list to near the top. So it's kind of the same as like the Pinnacle Glaver, right? They got a huge buff, and as a result, we're going to say that Death Strike is going to be a big W in our book. And with Loyal Companion, I'd say that it was W. If we look at our new tier list, right? Loyal Companion is here in the middle of B. Again, it's not like the craziest class, but it definitely got quite a bit stronger. So Loyal Companion is a winner in my book. Now, Mayhem Zerker. Actually getting gate kept to respectable B tier. So, again, a winner. Now, here's Evolution Legacy Scouter. They're at the, again, getting gate kept. And where are they now in this new tier list? In C tier. They're not getting gate kept anymore, but they're still not strong. So, probably a meh. I give it a meh. And then DI, getting gate kept to, still in garbage tier. Yeah, you're a loser. I'm sorry. The fact that you didn't get buffed makes you a goddamn loser. I'm sorry. I mean, there were buffs, but it really didn't change anything. They didn't move from getting gate kept to not getting gate kept, because I think they're probably still getting gate kept. And then that's it for like all of the ones that he was kind of confident about, right? The bottom tier, he said he didn't have enough data, but I think we can confidently say that these three classes did actually end up going up in the tier list, because of course, AT Scouter, from not being seen at all and being considered a not great class, they are now up here in A tier. They are a big winner. AT Scouter is definitely a big winner. PS Shadowhunter, also a big winner. Again, going from pretty much nobody playing the class to actually people think that the class is very respectable. Big winner. And Pistolier, again, a class that did not see any play. They were actually like probably at the bottom of the tier list for me in terms of like damage, even lower than Hunger Reaper, to actually a respectable class. They're not the strongest, but they're pretty strong. Like, they're not bad. So they went from basically unplayable to a decent class. I think that's a big win in itself. So that is about it for this tier list, right? But wait, there are a couple classes that we didn't go over, right? Of course, we have the Gun Lancers and the supports, but those ones just, well, combat rating is kind of a, kind of loser just for not getting really buffed or changed by anything. But I mean, I'd say that with Red Lancer, it's still a very strong class, and it was a very strong class back then too. So nothing really changed with these classes, right? Nothing changed with Paladin. Nothing changed with, actually, Artist. I will give it a win. Artist did get a good buff this year, and they're considered a lot stronger. So Artist did get a W. And oh wait, one thing, actually, we forgot First Intention here. We skipped over First Intention. Sorry about that. First Intention, I would say, also got a win. Not a huge win, but they were, actually, you know what? Yeah, not a huge win. I think they're a lot stronger in terms of like damage now, But as you can see here, they're on the B tier list. Some people consider them like, you know, one of the strongest classes in the game. But if we're just looking at ATK's tier list, they aren't like, you know, it's not super high on the list. So we're just going to give them winner, top of the winners, all right? They're close to being a big winner. They're at the top of the winners list. And then now we have these other classes with the Predator Slayers, the 2 Slayers, and we also have the Soul Eaters, right? These have not been accounted for. And that's because they're new classes. They came out this year and weren't on this initial tier list. But what we can say confidently is Predator Slayer, definitely a huge winner. Coming in hot, being OP, and not being touched at all, that's a goddamn big winner right there. Punisher Slayer, it's hard to say. I'd say they were kind of a loser because they came in hot as one of the strongest classes in the game. Arguably, potentially stronger than Predator, but are now down in B tier? I'd say they're they're losers for sure. And then Knight's Edge, of course, came in busted, still busted. Big winner. Full Moon Harvester, I'd say they did get a bit of a nerf, right? So they're still very strong, so I consider them a winner, but they definitely did get a little bit nerfed. So there we go. These are the biggest winners and the biggest losers of the patch. I'm hoping none of you guys are down here in the big loser section, though I have a feeling quite a few of you guys might be in this camp, because Igniter Sork and Gunslinger were very, very popular classes. But hopefully, most of you guys have classes in the big winners category. Let me know in the comment section down below which section you're in, and what do you want to see for your class in 2024. As always, if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, hit the sub button, ring the bell for notifications, and also I stream on Twitch every night starting at 10 p.m. PST, twitch.tv/MisoXChiru, and I also multi-stream on YouTube, so hopefully I will see y'all there. But if not, hopefully I'll see y'all on the next video. Have a happy new year, guys, and good luck with your New Year's resolutions. Good luck to me too, right? All right, I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace out.